I'm super pumped. We're going to be making Uplink history today.
Welcome to Uplink.
I'm super excited and super pumped to be talking to Zio today. We're going to be talking about science, we're going to be talking about Star Wars, and we're talking about gaming. So first off, who the heck are you?
Thank you for having me. It is an honor. Yeah. This is actually like my first podcast, so I'm pretty pumped about this. But anyways, my name is Xiomara, but most of you guys know me as Zio. I am a total science geek nerd. Loves gaming, loves Star Wars. I got my bachelor's degree in forensic science. And right now I am getting my PhD in chemistry. And most recently I've started streaming. So that
Yes.
has been very fun, actually.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I may have the story wrong, but was Uplink or Battlefront Podcast the first podcast you listened to? Or
It was the
was,
very
okay.
first podcast I've ever listened to.
Well, it's an honor. Been doing this for quite some time. It's super. It's always mind blowing to see who listens to the podcast.
Yeah, I remember the day you had followed me on Twitter, and my mind just my face lit up like, wait, there's a Battlefront podcast?
Yes.
I need this. Yes.
You've been a big part of the community for quite some time. What got you started in Star Wars? First off.
So the first encounter I actually had with Star Wars was when Attack of the Clones came out. My parents took me to the movie theater to see it.
Okay.
Of course, being that age, I had no idea what was going on. Nothing, the story was not processing in my brain, but there was cool lightsabers everywhere, a bunch of shooting, a bunch of action. So of course I just thought it was awesome. And then that was pretty much it for a while. And then my mom actually, she bought me, because my mom, she used to buy me tons of movies growing up, VCRs, DVDs, everything. And she actually got me episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Okay.
Yeah, and I remember just staring at it like, I kind of don't want to watch this movie. Like, it doesn't seem like my thing. But then one day I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna put it on. And at this point, the only like Star Wars knowledge I had was like, oh, Luke Skywalker, Vader. Good guy,
Okay.
bad guy, right?
Yeah.
So I'm watching this movie, and the whole time I'm thinking Anakin is Luke, right?
Okay.
Because I'm like, oh, this is the protagonist. That's Luke Skywalker right there. It has to be. And then it gets to the end and he becomes Vader, and my mind was just, what? Super confused.
Wait a second. I didn't think this is how this movie was going
Yeah,
to go.
and then basically I went down a rabbit hole and just it went, I guess, all downhill from there, or uphill.
Depending on your point of view.
Exactly.
That's awesome. Question for you. I mean, not necessarily because it was the first movies that you really got into, but which ones are your favorite? Were those ones that your favorite to this day, or has that been?
Till this day, Revenge of the Sith is my favorite, because I think that movie was basically a key moment in my life to get me being a Star Wars fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
We so part of our Patreon. Patreon.com/uplinkpodcast. Literally today, we recorded the episode that will come out Saturday, and we did a 55-minute episode on Revenge of the Sith, and we're talking about how it's such an iconic entry into the series, the franchise.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The fact that you could just nerd out about that is awesome.
Exactly. And like with part of the Uplink team is Dinko, who I'm pretty sure you're familiar with. We were talking about it, and he's like, Revenge of the Sith is the best opening in any Star Wars movie. And I sat there, I was like, thought about it. We went through all of the openings of the Star Wars movies, like, that checks out.
Oh yeah, because you have like that huge battle in the beginning that just draws you in.
Everything that Star Wars is in that opening, pretty much.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then you get like Anakin's banter with Obi-Wan. You get R2-D2 sassy moments. Just it's great.
Yes, the sassy droid. Getting into the gaming side of things, were you was that part of your experience with Star Wars, or was that later on that you just started with the movies, or was it in tandem with the Star Wars movies?
It was definitely many years later on.
Okay.
And Star Wars gaming is actually what made me become even bigger Star Wars fan.
Okay.
That's how much of an influence it has had on my life. Because I didn't grow up playing video games. Basically, the last thing I remember having is like a Game Boy Advance.
Okay.
And then it just stopped there. I don't know what happened. I think my dad was like, probably like, we shouldn't be giving her video games or something. I don't know. Yeah, it just stopped there.
Okay, and you kind of answered that question, but it was more of like a family thing that you weren't able to explore further into video games, or was it just kind of like
Yeah, it was definitely like more of like a family thing. I don't think my dad was a big fan of me playing video games. He was more like, because he had that whole stigma idea that a lot of people still have, that people who play video games are lazy, unproductive, not intelligent,
Okay.
which is completely not true.
Definitely. What has been some of your experiences going further into the gaming world here?
I guess I can kind of talk about like kind of how it started.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my boyfriend knew that like I was a huge Star Wars fan.
Okay.
And we were at GameStop and I'm like, "Wait a minute. Like Star Wars Battlefront 2." And this was when the game was released.
Okay.
I got it right away.
So it's like perfect, like the stars aligned.
Exactly. It's just like, holy crap. Like, wow. We get home, we put it on his PlayStation, and our apartment at the time had the worst Wi-Fi ever that I could not even play online.
Oh.
It was sad. It was very, very sad. And at the time, like months later had passed and I just basically kind of forgot about it. Very sad. And at the moment I was actually going through some very, very, very dark times in my life during that time. I felt kind of alone and isolated, and I think I still had like Battlefront in the back of my mind. And one time I was just browsing YouTube and Elliot's channel, Battlefront updates just popped up, right?
Yeah.
And this is the first streamer I have ever seen ever. And I'm watching him and I'm just like, wow, like he's having such a fun time. And this is what I'm missing out. Oh my God.
Yeah, Elliot's the OG, man.
Yeah, it's just, and thankfully, like we had just moved and finally we had Wi-Fi that actually worked. And when I'm talking about that, like I had no experience with gaming. I literally had to learn how to use the remote. Like the two analog sticks, and this one you move and the other one you look with, and it was very, very new to me. Very new.
Okay. Yeah, my mom, we play a lot of like Nintendo games, and then when Battlefront 2015 came out, we all hopped in as a family together, took turns, and she had the same experience when we were playing Battlefront 2015 of like, oh my gosh, what is this left and right stick stuff?
Yeah, it's so hard. It's like it's like stuff when you see other people play, it's like you don't even think about that, right?
Yeah.
But then
like,
when
once you get used to it, you don't think about it either.
Exactly. Looking back, I'm so grateful that just happened. I don't know. His community was very welcoming, no one made me feel too dumb to play a video game or that it was too late to try to play Battlefront again.
That's awesome. What mentioning the community? Um, what are some of the things that helped you get into the community, and what are some of the things that you found really key in joining the Star Wars gaming community?
I think I love the fact that I saw other people had the same interests as me. Because again, the people I was around with didn't we we didn't really have like the same interests almost. Like this is gonna sound so bad, but there was like a point in my life where like this person who I thought was like a friend laughed at me for liking like a nerdy Star Wars thing. And I just like finding a group of people that loved what I loved. It felt so good, especially at that point in my life because I was starting, it was my first year of grad school. I had really bad personal things going on in my life and like my mental health was just draining, and that brought enjoyment to my life. It's like I never experienced it anywhere else. The this whole Star Wars gaming community, it's great.
Mm-hmm. It's very empowering to find your tribe.
Yeah. Yeah, it felt nice. It felt nice to be able to talk with other people who again could like nerd out about like Star Wars with you.
Mm-hmm. It's fun. It's fun too. And again, we're in a large community. Star Wars is one of the biggest franchises. Period. So you're gonna have negative people, and you're gonna have those toxic communities. But for the most part,
Everybody's nice.
Yeah.
Everybody's so nice and
It's
welcoming.
such a supportive and welcoming community. So growing up, we were Nintendo people. Our whole family was Nintendo people. Our first console was the GameCube. That's how we got started. We didn't have a PlayStation until literally we got the Darth Vader edition of the PS4 for Battlefront 2015.
Nice.
In the Nintendo world, like Nintendo doesn't really, they don't have like developers getting on their personal accounts talking to fans. So it was really cool seeing that as a community. Someone knew the community and saying, "Hey, look at this. This is really cool. We actually have people discussing things. There's interactions between the developers." Again, Elliot too was one of the first people. We started the podcast in 2015, and he started his channel in late 2013, early 2014. So he's been around even longer than we have, and was a big part of us finding this community of like, oh, hey, look.
Yeah, exactly. Like I swear, if it wasn't for him, I don't know what would have happened, honestly. That's how much his content probably has shaped my life in a way. It's crazy. Like I basically took over my boyfriend's PlayStation.
That's awesome.
And like I would play on his console way more than he would with people from the Battlefront community. And I had his gamer tag, and I remember I kept telling him, this was obviously way before I had my own PC. I would tell him like, "Hey, like can you give me your gamer tag? Like that's mine." And he's like, "No way. Like I've had this my entire life. Like you need to make your own." And I did not want to because I had made so much progress on Battlefront. And it's just, no, I don't want to start over. You don't understand.
You can't take this from me.
No. Which I mean, like, obviously it's his, but
It's actually yours.
yeah.
That's awesome. And like you mentioned this earlier, your Twitch streaming. What has that been experience like? You posted this on Twitter that you waited in line at Micro Center to get a 3070. Was that like the start of your basically, let's say, Twitch career? What are some of the things that inspired you to getting into Twitch and streaming?
Yeah, so I've always wanted to stream. I think it's because that like enjoyment that Elliot brought to
Mm-hmm.
people, I wanted to bring that like to other people as well. And when I initially started, I honestly had no idea how the channel was going to turn out to be or anything. Like I was very, very lost. I mean, I'm still learning and everything, but I just remembered that I finally had the money, I finally had the space to build up my computer, and
Mm-hmm.
thank God I did it when I did because
Yeah, I
now,
know, right?
people can't find GPUs and
I'm still
stuff.
trying to find something, man.
Yeah, it's so bad. It's just I just remember like I just had this feeling inside of me like, oh, you that's the last part that you need
Mm-hmm.
for your PC. Like just wake up early and go get it. And thank God because it paid off in the end and I was able to get my graphics card and yeah, build my PC and then start streaming. Um but like overall, I think I just want people to see that hey, you don't have to be like a huge experienced gamer to game. Like you people think that like if you've been playing games since you were a child up until now, like those are the people only that game. It's like no, you I started gaming like 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
No, less than 5 years ago. Um yeah, wait, actually probably less than 4 years ago. And it's not too late for anybody to start and also I think I also just want people to get the stigma out of your mind that like people that game are lazy and unproductive and so on and like as I was saying before, me and you know that obviously because we know a bunch of people now in our community who game and are totally not like that, but
Yeah.
it's like I am not surrounded by those people every day. My this gaming community is still fairly new to me. Most of the people that I've surrounded myself with in my career like don't do any of this stuff at all.
Yeah.
And like I just want this like notion out of their mind that like yeah, people who game, yeah, total waste of their time. They're lazy, they're not smart, blah blah blah. Um and I love it just because it's honestly it has made me more confident because it has really brought me out of my comfort zone.
Hmm.
You know, just trying a game on a PlayStation met those years ago was definitely out of my comfort zone. Trying Battlefront out of my comfort zone. And this was like totally out of my comfort zone too. And I love it.
That's so awesome.
So yeah, yeah. Yeah, like I'm just like hoping maybe like someone can watch me and obviously like I want to bring them enjoyment and stuff, but maybe like I'll inspire them in a way to like, hey, I kind of want to try this out too, you know? Like
Mm-hmm.
she says she's fairly new. Like maybe I can give it a shot. And then I think also as well, it's like I think the problem is a lot of like women. I don't know a lot of women that game. And that doesn't mean they don't exist, obviously, because we know a ton of women that game.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, I think the problem is, again, it's like not in their comfort zone because they just see so many men do it. So they think it's just a men thing.
So you beat me to it. I was planning to bring this up later in the episode, but um, so you are the first woman guest on the podcast in the entire 6 year period, and it's not like, oh man, I really just don't think women gamers are a thing, and like, well, I'm just gonna highlight them. And it's just been a lack of effort on my part, and I'm working towards getting better at that. But I want to ask you, what has been your experience as a female gamer in the Star Wars community that has such a long legacy? What are some of the things that you've noticed and are using your the size of your platform, whether it be big or small, your platform to improve that?
Well, obviously the most major one is that, like, I guess not many not many women play Battlefront. Um and it's so funny when I ask around, a lot of the responses I get are like, I play but I suck. And
I feel
and
that.
I hate hearing that cuz it's just like, who cares? Like, and I feel like people say that because there are probably, like, I don't know, toxic men out there who are
Hmm.
just like, "Oh, like, you
Yeah,
suck at video games, like, you
they
shouldn't be
felt put
playing."
down at some point in the past, and they don't want to put expectations.
Exactly, exactly, and that sucks so much. It's it sucks so much, and it's like, I think it's like, you don't have to be good at video games, and also, you can get better.
Mm-hmm.
You can get totally better,
Exactly.
like, yeah, it's just like, obviously, there's a difference if you're playing and you're not having a good time.
Yeah.
Fair, you know? But if you really like the game and you just don't want to play because you're scared, because, like, you suck, and who cares what other people think?
Mm-hmm.
It's for you. It's for your enjoyment. Like, again, it's hard. Like, it's hard for especially women to get out of their comfort zone and try a video game when they just, like, they think they won't be good at it, or they've seen just nothing but men play. It can be a Debbie Downer, I guess.
Yeah, it can be very intimidating. I know.
Yes, that exactly, intimidating for sure.
I open most of my streams with like, hey, if you want good gameplay, go somewhere else because we're gonna be here, have fun, talk Star Wars, and just
Yeah.
chill and hang out here.
Yeah.
But a lot of the gaming community is like so aggressive and skill based. Something that I've loved with the Squadrons Rise is how supportive people are in that community towards beginners, and I think that's something that um, we as a community need to get better at is welcoming new
Absolutely.
people
Absolutely.
into the
Yeah,
world.
absolutely, because if can you imagine if I, like, stumbled across, like, I don't know, Battlefront updates or something, and I wanted to play with somebody, and they saw that I was, like, I don't know, some beginner player, and they were put off by that, and they just
Did you
didn't
see
want to
this
play
level
with me
5 scrab over
anymore.
here?
Yeah. Yeah, like, how do you think that's gonna make me feel? Of course I'm never gonna wanna touch the game again.
Yeah, it's interesting. Do you think it's a uniquely Battlefront thing that it is less of a woman community? We're seeing a lot more of a drive towards. Uh, Again, women have always played games, but
Uh-huh. Yep.
it's more of an accepting of the vocalizing of it. Like, oh yeah, I play
Yeah.
games.
Yeah. I think it's just I feel like a lot of women gamers might be, like, overlooked.
Hmm.
Like, it's I think that's it, overlooked and ignored sort of deal.
How do you see that? What are some of the steps towards making it better in your viewpoint?
Oh. That's a good question. I feel like there are many answers to that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Because
many
it's
more
unique
answers
to
to that.
each community. True.
Yeah,
Yeah.
uh-huh. Yep, exactly. So it's I mean, they're like what you're doing, I think it's amazing. Like, even just having me on this podcast is one step forward for sure. Like, I love it.
Me too. Like this
It's
is
like
awesome. Next week I'm
it's
gonna
like
have my girlfriend on the podcast. And we're gonna talk
they're
about
like
Republic Commando.
hell yeah, like I love it. Cause it's like, what, me? Like a woman, like a PhD candidate on a gaming podcast? What? Like, what?
I mean, how cool is that? I mean, it's pretty awesome. First of all, to just say, "Hey, I'm getting a PhD." Second off,
Oh,
also I play games. Also, I like Star Wars. Also, I like Star Wars video games. Oh, hey, and I'm a woman too. It's like, whoa.
yeah. I think also I think also one of the issues is just finding the community, because obviously some women don't feel comfortable not they feel comfortable only playing with women. Does
That
that
is
make
that is a
sense?
really
Like,
good point. Yeah.
you know, and it can be hard to find another woman that plays the same game as you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember I would put stuff out because I feel like I needed like a female friend to game with, like, oh, who owns a PlayStation or something, or who owns a
Yeah.
PC. It's like, yeah, I would find them, but we would all play different games.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, we were kind of like all isolated in different communities.
What are some of the ways that you've overcome that? We were direct messaging about what is it, the Galactic Empire? Is that what that is?
Yes.
So, what
So
are some
shout
of the
out
places
to
like that?
Yeah, so shout out to the Galactic Vampire. So they're a group on Facebook, basically all female fans of Star Wars. So it's not just dedicated, like, it's not a gaming community or anything. It's just overall all Star Wars
Mm-hmm.
community for women. Um because that's essentially where we feel safe, where we can share our honest opinions, where we won't feel judged,
Yeah.
where basically somebody else can understand how it feels to be a woman Star Wars fan. And I have found a couple people in there who like game, which it's it's still a needle in a haystack,
Mm-hmm.
but those very few, it feels so good.
Yeah, it's all about finding that community and taking part, and it's true too about finding the community of like-minded people, or maybe even not necessarily like-minded, but the same uh, gender or gender identity, where you can come
Yeah.
at the same place and you have a shared experience in this community of, hey,
Yeah.
I haven't found um, I know there are women out there that love Star Wars because I see them online, but how can I connect and find people to play with or find people to talk Star Wars with?
Yeah, exactly. I think just this past weekend I found another streamer who plays Battlefront, and I just lit up right away because I'm like, "Oh my god. Like, you're amazing."
It's super cool. Uh, Going a little bit deeper into the Battlefront front world, what have been some of your favorite experiences with Star Wars gaming?
Oh man. Okay, so till this day, till this day. Now I haven't played many games, right? But I can say I've played, let's see how many I've played. One, two, four Resident Evil games already.
I've greatly
BioShock.
been enjoying that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mentioned BioShock already. Little Nightmares.
Mm-hmm,
Um
yes.
and obviously Jedi Fallen Order and Battlefront, but Jedi Fallen Order is still my favorite game
Okay.
out of all of those games. So I know a lot of people talk about how when Battlefront 2017 like was first announced, like that feeling, I
Mm-hmm.
never got to experience that. Um, but I experienced that with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order at Celebration. Star Wars
Yeah, because you
Celebration.
were at
Yeah.
Celebration, right?
Yes. Yes. And like the whole room was pumped. It's just like now I know how you guys felt for that Battlefront announcement.
Yes.
Like this, yeah, this is a freaking awesome. And I was definitely very hyped for that game. I played it the first day it came out,
Yes.
and I thought it was just an amazing experience. I and I know a lot of people would tell me like, "Oh, like it's kind of like Dark Souls." Blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, well, I've never played Dark Souls. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I really can't compare this to anything else because this is basically basically when I first tried Jedi Fallen Order, that was the second game I've ever tried, other than Battlefront.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
And
And
covering the complete gambit there, from a first and third person shooter to a single player third person game. Like, it's quite the jump too.
Yeah, but that game just took it to a whole nother level for me for gaming.
Yeah. Was it great story paired with the gameplay? Was it just the whole Star Wars setting as a whole? All of the things combined?
The gameplay was really cool. Graphics were nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, like, I'm not gonna lie, when I saw Kel, I was hyped, but in a way I was also like, man, I kind of wish I could play like a female Jedi or something.
Yeah.
But I fell in love with Kel right away.
He's a great character.
He's a fantastic character, and I was basically caught into his story every step of the way. The way they laid out his introduction to the story, and it was great. It set up really nicely. And that game also introduced so many other cool characters, like Marin, for example. Yes, she's great.
I would play a whole game with her in it.
Yeah, like, she is freaking awesome. We have the best character, BD1.
Yeah.
That alone is
Come on, BD.
Is just a reason enough for anybody to try the game. Yeah. We've had the second Inquisitor sister, Malicos. Yeah, they hit it out of the ballpark with that.
So, do you share the belief that they should have stayed on Braca longer?
Ooh.
I loved the atmosphere of Braca. I loved the...
it felt very Star Wars-y for sure.
The grungy city scrapper vibe. I loved.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the closest we've come to getting like a really detailed Coruscant map in current Star Wars games.
Interesting. I never thought about that.
I booted it up a couple months ago when they did the first update for the next gen consoles, and later on they're going to do like a full redo, like a full edition for the new consoles. But when they did just a little patch for it to get a little extra frame rate, a little extra resolution, I went through again and played the opening, and I was like, man, I kind of wish we played even longer on this map. Like, this is so good.
It's an epic feeling, isn't it? Like seeing the Star Destroyer in the background, and
it's so cinematic, and so much is going on at the same time as you're walking through these grungy, I wouldn't even call them streets, platforms that are made out of scrap.
Yeah, it's very cool. It definitely, and I feel like at the time it was like a side of Star Wars that we never really get to see in a way. Yeah, so I can definitely see how people would have loved to get more of that.
What are some of your hopes for the next game?
Jedi Fallen Order?
Yes.
Oh man.
It's a big can of worms there.
It is. I don't know.
Just a little spoiler alert here.
I do wish though that Vader didn't kill second sister. My heart kind of broke a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I kind of wanted her to have like a little redemption there, but
it seemed like she was on the edge of it.
Yeah, she really was, but that moment made the game more intense, so I can see why they did that. Do we know anything about the game? Like, have they said anything about like time-wise?
So I talked with Bespin Bulletin a little while ago, and he's one of the guys that leaked the release for Squadrons and the KOTOR leak with Jason Schreier. He was one of the big key players in that, and he said he has he knows some of the stuff around it. He wouldn't share a whole bunch, but he did share that it is going to be based around Cal, and that's good because I know there was some speculation that it wouldn't
be Cal. I honestly, I'd be kind of sad if it wasn't, because
same here.
Yeah, he's a good character.
He is. I love his, like, he's quirky. He's a little quirky. Some of
Yeah.
his personality shines through a bit. That was what
I
I would love to
agree.
see more, is more of a hammering down on, because like him as a Jedi he's had to hide his true identity for quite some time to survive. I'd love to see more of him opening into that. One thing that I definitely don't want them to do is make him like somehow forget who he is and he has to relearn all of his abilities. I just don't want him to do that. I hope
Oh,
they expand the type of game, because it made sense for the first one that he would have blocked off that part of his past and he relearned his abilities.
yeah. Yeah. But if they do that again, it would be kind of redundant in a
It's like,
way.
come on, guys, I already did
Yeah,
all of this. I
yeah,
need a double
yeah,
jump.
yeah. I can kind of see that can become annoying for sure.
I know I was really annoyed when I couldn't double jump right off the bat. I was like, come on, man. That's like the Jedi special ability.
That
Everyone knows that.
I probably died more from falling than anything else.
Yes. Falling, and then one of the things I had struggles with was those freaking big toad things.
Oh, you know what's funny? I actually I actually never got to fight what's his name? What's that creature, that monster's name?
I know with the big one, right?
Yeah, I never fought him. Never. Why
I
am I forgetting his name?
I accidentally did. Ogdo Bogdo.
Yes, de facto. So when I first played it, I think I'm like I'll come back to you later, you know? And the second time I did the same thing, but I was like ready. I'm like I have all these force powers. This should be easy, and he just ignored me. I'm like, "Oh, okay. I'll just go over here and open this chest up and call it a day, I guess." And everybody was just like, "Are you freaking kidding me right now? Like he's just going to ignore you. Like you don't have to suffer through what we suffered." Like, "Nope, I'm sorry. I don't know how that feels."
That's so frustrating. I didn't even try to plan to attack it, and I was jumping around. You know, they've got the pits everywhere, and I accidentally fell in through one, and all of a sudden these
Yeah.
freaking bounty hunters started attacking me, and then all of a sudden there's this big beast over there. I was like, oh no, this is
I
not
think
good.
that is something else I loved about that game, about the random bounty hunters
Yeah.
that you would get, that they would just like catch you off guard. It's like, "Oh, okay." It's like kind of like you get like this mini boss fight in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Um and it's so funny when I talk with people about this game, we all have different experiences in terms of like which boss fight was the hardest.
Okay.
Like for me, Trilla's final boss fight was the hardest for me.
Hmm.
And and everyone's like, "Really?" For me it was Malicos or something. It's and other people it's like, "Oh, it's the Ninth Sister." Um and
Yeah.
I find that really really interesting.
The hardest one for me was Malicos.
Yeah, it
I
seems
died so much from that freaking guy. It made me so mad. I had to step away from the game for a little bit.
yeah, you can yeah. Your brain can
So
only handle so
hard.
much.
When we reach, I think we're gonna set it for 1,100 subscribers on YouTube. I'm gonna do a full Jedi Fallen Order stream. So
Oh, I love it.
do the whole game in one stream.
Hell, oh, wow. Ooh.
'Cause it's feasible. I think it's about 10 hours. So
Like a speed run or something?
I'm gonna try to do it as quickly as possible,
Wow. Okay.
so we can get it all in one stream. But that
Well,
is,
good for you. Good luck.
yes. The longest stream I've done is, I think it was 4 hours. I mean, if you count the Squadrons esports stuff, the longest one I did was 6 hours.
Yeah.
But
I think that's the longest I've ever done too is like 6 hours.
the after I got done with the it was the Twin Suns tournament day one. There was some technical difficulties, so I was the main person for that. I was the through line for the entire tournament. 6 hours later, I had only eaten like 2 eggs the entire day,
Oh my.
and then I still had a
No.
podcast to edit. So I was
Oh no.
I just buckled it up and kept on going. It was
What
rough.
a day. What a day.
But this 12-hour stream, I assume it'll be 12 hours, basically until the game is finished. I'm going to prep for it. I'm going to have
And you're going to have
drinks.
it's going to be like just normal settings, right?
Yeah, I'm not going to do
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say because you're going to kill yourself.
Yeah. If it was on the hardcore settings, I don't know if I personally would be able to make it through that.
Yeah.
That was the last we ever saw of Sage.
Yeah, honestly.
So I'm super pumped. The second game I'm excited for. I love how it was a medley of a bunch of great genres and great games, Metroidvania style. It has the skill-based combat, something like a Bloodborne or what is the other? Dark Souls.
Mm-hmm.
There was another game it reminded me of. It reminded me a little bit of Mario games, a little bit.
Interesting.
Just that, specifically like Super Mario 64. It kind of had that. You have these set places that you can go to. It reminded me a little bit of that. So I'm excited. Like, I wonder what kind of games they're gonna incorporate with like game mechanics they're gonna incorporate for the next one.
Yeah, I'm excited to see like if there's gonna be new planets. That yeah.
What are some of the planets you'd like to see?
Oh man. Ooh. Well, I'm a little biased. What if I say like Naboo?
I think Naboo could be cool.
Yeah.
Let's see, that'd be post Order 66. I wonder if Palpatine still has like a vacation home on Naboo.
Yeah.
Randomly
You'll
encounter
see
Palpatine.
Cal like looking through Palpatine's drawer. Like,
Yeah.
I gotta find this guy's notes and
Finds a Speedo in there and I need to go wash my eyes out. I need to clean my brain from that image.
I mean, that's not. We've had grosser images in our brains already from Palpatine.
That's true. We don't want to talk about that right now.
Yeah, because apparently he had a child.
Yeah. And was it technically him or was it his clone? Like, we don't even know if it was even him or if it was a clone him. Also, if it was a clone him, why didn't he clone himself to look nice?
Right? Like, genetically modify younger skin, sir.
Exactly. Left me scarred and deformed. Oh no. With that, this has been an absolute blast. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Super stoked for the stuff that we talked about today. And
yeah, thank you for having me.
Heck yeah.
Like, this was really fun.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I always have a blast, and this has been a great episode on the podcast, talking about all kinds of things. We didn't even touch about the science stuff, so we'll have to come back and talk about what your thoughts are on science and Star Wars, because I would love to get in that discussion with you. As someone who's a science noob, you can teach me the ways of the science force.
Absolutely, I would love to.
So yeah, if you as a listener are like, hey, I want to get plugged into this awesome community that Zio's over there part of, go follow her on Twitch and on Twitter. I'll leave links to that all in the description, and definitely go say hi on her Twitch channel. Thank you for listening to Uplink Podcast. You can follow us on Twitter at Uplink Podcast or on Instagram at Uplink Podcast. If you like the show, and we hope you do, please consider leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you can leave a review. It helps us out a ton. It gets your feedback, and it helps us attract new listeners. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so on our Patreon, patreon.com/uplinkpodcast. Be very appreciative of that. You can get exclusive content like Uplink Plus, our exclusive Patreon podcast, as well as some bonus insider deals on Uplink Podcast merchandise, as well as a mention in the outro, this right here. We'd like to thank Daniel, who supports us at the $10 a month level and helps bring the show to you lovely people. Thank you so much, Daniel. And if you'd like a shout out at the end of the episode, please consider supporting on Patreon. Helps us out a ton, helps us to expand the show and bring you weekly content. We also have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/The Star Wars Battlefront Podcast. Yes, I know, we're Uplink Podcast now, but can't change the URL for YouTube, so please consider checking out the content that we're producing over there. We have weekly streams every Saturday at 12 p.m. MST, as well as bonus content and expansion of the show. You can find the show on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify. Wherever you find podcasts, you can find this show. Links to all of the guests' information will be in the description of this episode, so definitely go check them out as well. As always, thanks for listening. Goodness gracious.